Hello, I'm Old Man Cuber, and welcome to episode 7 of my beginner's method of solving the Rubik's Cube, the bonus episode. Um, it's not much of a bonus, it's a couple of shortcuts that I found to help me in solving the Rubik's Cube. Um, so yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Um, First, we'll get this out of the way. I kind of had an idea um, that just to kind of show how painful this cube is because I haven't used it in any of my videos other than a placeholder and a logo. Um, I don't plan to use it, but if I get 1,000, if I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'll go ahead and record a solve of the classic Rubik's Cube, not to be confused with the Speed Cube, uh, because the Speed Cube is a little bit easier than the classic Rubik's Cube. This thing's painful. It hurts. Beginner's method, under 10 minutes on this thing. Yeah, it just doesn't happen. So, anyway, with that said, 1,000 subscribers, I'll solve it. But till then, it's out of the way. All right, so where are we going to start? Well, we've got 4 here that are basically on what's called the PLL or permutation of the last layer. You just got to solve the edge pieces to solve it. However, this one is still in what I think it's the OLL stage, orientation of the last layer, that we'll take a look at. We'll start here because this one here is, if you remember, we did the 3 right hand, rotated it 90 degrees, and 3 left hand after we got a side lined up. But this one is a little bit different. This one actually is, we have this one's in the right place and this one's in the right place. And if I remember correctly, in episode 5, we did have one that was just like this. But to keep episode 5 consistent with the beginner's method, I just solved with the beginner's method. But this one here is basically, so the beginner's method, just a quick recap, I would do a 3 right hand, rotate 90 degrees, 3 left hand, and that will actually cause this side to not be lined up anymore, so this one won't match. But on the flip side, no pun intended, I just thought about how funny that is. This side will actually match. So you'll move the lined up corners, instead of being opposing corners, they'll be lined up to one side. Then you rotate the cube accordingly, and you do 3 right hand, rotate 3 left hand, and then all your corners are now lined up. So you have to do the 3 right hand, 3 left hand, or the 3 right hand, rotate 3 left hand twice when they're on when they're initially at the same angle, or or when they're at an angle, the ones that are oriented correctly. So that being said, the shortcut is, so we have this one here, with one on the left side and then the one on the back of the right. If we do a F, 1 right hand, 2 right hands, 3 right hands, and then an F prime, and then orient the in this case just a U. Sometimes it's a U prime, sometimes it's a U2. Not the band, but rotating U twice. Not to be confused with the U2 prime, which is rotating the U twice the other direction. Yeah. Anyway, but you'll see here now we're lined up. These are oriented correctly. So that was the shortcut. Again, it was a F, 3 right hands, F prime to rotate this back, and then you just line up the corners again, and you'll find they're all oriented correctly. So that's that one. I'm not going to go ahead and solve it because I'm just going to, in the interest of time, I'm going to move on to the next one, the next shortcut. So I'm gonna move these two back here. These are actually CFOP algorithms, and I'll get into what that is and what that means later. So yeah, we're gonna focus on these two. Now this one here, let me make sure I'm talking the right one. Nope. Yep, this one here is what we remember, or if we remember correctly from the um, beginner's method. This was in episode 6, the beginner's method, or orienting or permutating the PLL, finalizing the last layer and solving the cube. This one here, we do a right hand, a left hand. There's our T, our inverted T, 5 right-handed, and then followed up with 5 left-handed. Okay, and there it's solved. Now, the one thing that, so that's, and this one here was just for an overview purposes to review that. So that being said, this is the alternate method. If you look at it here, you'll notice that the main difference between this one and that one is that the direction that the edge piece has to. So the one that has to move across. So this is yellow and red are across the cube. So this one will be moving to the left, as opposed to this one was moving to the right. So when it moves to the right, you start with the right hand algorithm. When it moves to the left, like this, the traditional beginner's method, I should say, starts out with you do your right hand, your left hand, your 5 right hand, 5 left hand, and then you do that again. A right hand, a left hand, 5 right hand, 5 left hand, and then it's solved. But instead of having to do that method twice, for all intents and purposes, if you start with the left hand, because it's the one that's got to go across crosses to the left, then you'll save that extra movement. So you start with the left hand, and then you follow up with your right hand. Here's our T's, right? Your T and our inverted T. Then 5 left hands, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then 5 right hands, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And boom, it's solved. See? Now this is my Mofang Joshi Melong 3x3, $4. It's speedcubeshop.com. It's a good practice cube. My son and I, this is actually our second. He gave away our first one. I'm not going to talk too much about that, but that's okay. So that being said, but we took the first one, we played with it in a pool, we played it in the rain, we played with it anywhere but a plane, because we haven't taken it on a plane yet. And given some of the videos that we've seen Soup Timmy having issues getting his cubes through the airport, we're not sure we're going to. So I don't mind. I like my feet on the ground. So, but that's that. Now for these two, there's also a CFOP algorithms. There's a UA, which is the right-handed one, and then the left-handed one was the U B variant. So the A variant and the B variant. I don't even know if I got these right anymore, but yeah. So that's where those two are. But mine, is a variant of the beginner method. So remember, if it goes to the left, you start with the left. If it goes to the right, you start with the right. And that's basically it. All right, so next, um, we're gonna do, I think, yeah, no, this is and this is, these two here are the other common ones that we see and when using the beginner method. This is both of them I kind of refer to as the castle, because if you remember, it's like a 8-bit castle turret, with the what do they call the trendling? I don't remember the castle terminology. It's a lot older than I am, so not my fault if I forget. But that being said, this one here looks like these go across. So this is the H perm. These here go at diagonals, which is the Z perm. Catch that? So we'll set the Z perm aside because that one is a little more specific. Or you have to get this one right. The H perm, you don't. You can get the algorithm wrong on the H perm, but if you get it wrong, it's going to take you longer to solve it. So you'll have more turns. How I learned it was actually I learned it wrong, but I'll go ahead and start. It starts with M2 prime. Get that? Yeah. So M2 prime, okay, and then the proper way is to do a U, and then an M2 prime, and this is where I would screw up, a U2, and then an M2 prime, and then a U, and an M2 prime. So, and there it is. Now, when you're solving it, if you, instead of doing the U2, actually, I'll go ahead and reset it. Okay, so here we are. We're back at our H perm. Now, if you do it the incorrect way, the way I learned it, which was M2U, 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 and actually keep turning it. There we go. Done. If you notice that, it had a lot more turns, but it is a little forgiving in that if you don't get the U2 count right, you just do a U, you'll still get the solve. So, that being said, on to the Z perm. Now this one, my son actually showed me. I liked it. We actually did discover a couple of things about the Z perm. It's important for orientation. That I drew the Z, right? Just because the Z, even though this part doesn't really have anything to do with each other, because these two swap, but if I make it a complete Z, that helps me remember when I start, I need the end of a Z facing me. So either the bottom or the top. If you do a point where it comes across, or another way to look at it is where it goes off to the right as opposed to the left. And if I rotate it 180 degrees, hey, look, it's still the left, right? So if it goes off to the left from the face, we're good. If it goes off from the right, if it goes off to the right, then when you start and you have to do the Z perm, you'll end up with an H perm right afterwards. It's, yeah. So you'll end up with more moves, but it's a little forgiving after that. So we're going to do a M prime. No, it's not an M2, but an M prime. U, an M2, U, M2, U, M prime, U2, M2 prime. And then in this case, just follow it up with the U prime to get it oriented right. So, and that wraps up the my episode. It's a kind of a quick one today. So, if you actually not so much, I kind of do tend to talk a lot, don't I? That being said, if you do like the content, please feel free to like, and then also if you could subscribe. Like I said, once I get 1,000 subscribers, I'll solve this thing, this monstrosity. I think stones would be easier to solve than this, but yeah. So 1,000 subscribers and I'll solve that. But so like, subscribe, and then also if you could click the bell to get notified when new content comes available. I've got a whole list of videos that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to actually do CFOP in depth, which actually stands for cross first two layers. That's the F, first two, and then the orientation of the last layer, and then the permutation of the last layer. And so that was cross first two, right? First two, orientation, and then permutation, and then that's CFOP. So I'm going to be making a whole bunch of videos covering CFOP one video at a time, like I did with the layers for this. That way you can just watch the one video on a particular. I'm having a problem with this algorithm. What do? So you don't have to pause, rewind. So yeah, like I said, like, subscribe, and the bell, and we're good. Y'all have a good day. I'll catch you in the next one.